Live from Studio A, somewhere inside the great state of Kansas, it's Leadership Late Night, brought to you by the Kansas Leadership Center. You already know who I am. I'm DJ AJ. Tonight, a discussion about education in the COVID-19 era with Ria Mucella Legrand. And now, the second most popular person on this show, your host, my dad, DJ Whetter.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 2. Addison, they said we wouldn't make it this far.
Dad, who said we wouldn't make it to episode 2?
That's a fair question. Mainly your mother. Huh. You found the sound effects button, did you?
Yes, I did.
Any chance you found any laugh tracks on that thing?
No, but I'll go searching for those if you finally tell a funny joke.
Ouch, DJ AJ, that hurts. Who wrote your script tonight?
My mother.
Unbelievable. Everybody's a comedian now.
Except you, Dad. Come on, man, you're just setting me up for these.
Okay, and thus ends the witty banter portion of this show. Thank you, DJ AJ.
You're welcome, Dad.
This is why virtual learning is a horrible idea. I can only imagine when our kids understand the full settings options that Zoom offers. Well, despite what you've seen this evening from my firstborn child, this show is all about building community. And we'll do it by doing a little bit of leadership teaching. We'll bring on a guest to talk about a subject that matters today. And in a real plot twist, after we get the chat going on Facebook Live, the end is just the beginning. We'll make the attempt to move this community from Facebook Live onto Zoom, and we'll give you plenty of opportunity at the end to find out where we'll be once this show is over. We'd love you to join us there to debrief the conversation we have with our guests this evening and to continue the discussion about how leadership matters in this era of COVID-19. Well, it's time to get underway, but before we do that, a commitment to quality here at Leadership Late Night. I'm hearing from retailers around the world that sales on business attire tops are way up, while they're almost non-existent on bottoms. I promise you here at Leadership Late Night, just because we need a dose of normalcy, you'll see nothing but quality attire from me. All right, DJ AJ, you hit the beats, I'll hit the desk. Let's get this show underway. All right. Well, thank you, Addison, for something there. I really appreciate your dedication to your father. Good to be back at the desk. Good to be back talking leadership with you all. And it's time to bring the chat room in. So I want to get you engaged early on. Tonight, the conversation, the leadership topic is purpose, both personal purpose and collective purpose. And I think it's so important that we discuss this subject in this COVID-19 era because what I am hearing as I continue to do work virtually around the state and around the world is my strategies are shifting. The things that I could count on for so long that seemed to matter, that I knew were go-tos, don't matter anymore. They're not possible in this era. Just this morning, I was on a virtual Zoom call all the way out to Israel, working with a number of postgrad students who are teaching, working within Israel, that come from around the world. They give up a year because of their Jewish roots to go and work with Messiah International, an organization that helps them kind of connect to maybe a secular or religious Jewish heritage. And I was talking to a young lady who worked inside the city of Haifa, outside of Jerusalem, small community, and she worked in an Arab neighborhood. All right, and many of the people in this neighborhood define themselves as Palestinian, even though they live inside the Israeli borders. Their roots are Arab, but they're living inside the state of Israel. And this young lady said to me, I've been teaching there for almost a year. I've got 7th and 8th grade students, all Arab students who I'm connecting with. And my classroom was a bridge to the Arab community from me as an American citizen, from me as a Jewish white person. She named all these identities and said, that's been stripped away. I can't do that work now without my classroom. But what I heard in her comment, what I want to call you to tonight is purpose. She has a purpose. She believes she can be a bridge to the Arab community as an Israeli person visiting from the United States. That's purpose. Now, the strategy that she used to get after that for so long has been her classroom of 7th and 8th graders. That classroom is gone. Only about 20% of the students have access to the internet, and so she doesn't have access to all those students. But what we talked about is there are other ways to get at purpose. And so what I want to do is throw up a couple slides and get the conversation going. And I'd love you to start putting your thoughts into the chat room about what does purpose look like right now, given that all of our strategies are likely changing given this pandemic. So So as we come back out here and we talk about purpose, I just think it's so important to think about how you're going to build that collective purpose in this time. Again, a purpose that is big enough that everybody sees themselves as a part of it, but small enough that is actionable. Because as you saw on that last side, slide, excuse me, when you go to goals and strategies, right? Often we want to debate strategies. We have big, grand debates over what the right strategy is. But the reality is, purpose, all right, will allow us to call people back and say, are we still all on the same page about what matters here? Do we all still believe we want to be that bridge to this community? Do we all still believe that our education system today needs to be educating students? Well, then our strategies and goals might change and we can debate those and we might try many, many different ones. But the reality is, we will find some collective purpose that allows us to move things along. Because ultimately, what we're trying to do is energize people to get this work done. Remember, leadership starts with you but must engage others. And because of that, some of that energizing work actually may be disappointing people at a rate they can tolerate. But we do that by calling people back to collective purpose. When strategies and goals are frustrating, if we can call groups back to purpose, we really find that progress can be possible. And my suggestion here tonight is that in this strange pandemic time, there may need to be a shift of purpose or a reconnection to purpose for a lot of our organizations and a lot of us out there. I think that's so important. What I want to discuss tonight is I want to discuss the education system. All right, the education system was in my initial story, and we're going to talk a lot about it with my next guest. We have a lot of amazing, amazing education partners at the Kansas Leadership Center. So many of them connect, and we partner with them. We'd like to think we provide something for them, and we learn so much back from what they're doing. One of our great partners is Teach for America, and right here in Kansas City, Ria Muchala Legrand is doing a lot of great work to keep students connected to education during this time. So right now, I'd like to invite Ria into the Leadership Library. Give me one moment, and we'll get her here on the show. Ria, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the Leadership Library. As you can see, I know you can't be more excited than to be a part of whatever this show is going to become.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, DJ and KLC. I appreciate the invite.
You're the second ever guest on Leadership Late Night. So, I mean, just think of what an honor that has to be.
Yes, holding it down. You guys are doing a lot of good work really rapidly in the moment. So
I appreciate that. So, yeah. Ria, obviously you're with Teach for America. Could you tell us a little bit about your role there, your title, but also kind of what that encompasses right now for you?
Yeah, so Teach for America is a national organization that puts really high achieving people into our highest needs schools with the belief that every child is born with the same amount of potential, but opportunity is not distributed as equally as potential. And so we put leaders into systems that are not serving all children with the hopes that they activate their leadership and change those systems so that they serve all children regardless of race, income, nationality, really anything. So we are all over the country. I work specifically for Teach for America Kansas City. We're in our 11th year of being in the city. I started out here as a core member, so I actually taught 2 years of English at East High School in KCPS, and then stayed at the school for another couple years to be an instructional coach. My role right now in Teach for America Kansas City is that when you do TFA, you get a full-time coach that's there with you every step of the way to help you become the teacher and leader that you want to be to change this movement. And so we have a team of coaches, and I manage and lead alongside that team of coaches. I'm really honored to be just working with such incredible people. I mean, I really miss my people in this moment.
Well, for example, Ria, we just started virtual school in our house yesterday, got a kindergartner and a third grader, all of a sudden taking this learning online. Mm-hmm. And I think, there's parents out there watching tonight, there's aunts and uncles thinking about how, the kids they love are going to be educated, grandparents. So whether you have a kid or not, I think this piece of education during this time is a really big issue. And I'm wondering more from a teacher perspective, for someone that works on both sides of the state line, what's that been like working with your teachers, and what are they experiencing trying to continue to offer education during this pandemic?
Yeah, that's such a good question. For us, we have core members, that's what we call our teachers, core members, that work from ECE, so 3-year-olds, all the way up to 12th grade AP chemistry. So we really run the board, and like you said, we're on both sides of state line. So for us, it's been a matter of waiting and responding accordingly. In this moment, the power of decisions from folks in places that can make those decisions is really noticeable. And so, like, waiting to see, are we going to be in a lockdown situation? Are we sheltering in place? Are schools going to actually be open? Are they going to be closed? If so, for how long, has really um, dictated the response that's necessitated from our core members. So we have really different opportunities to work with our ECE folks because the majority of daycares are still open. And so what that looks like is us helping them stay safe, stay present, make choices that honor their safety and security while still honoring the vision that they hold to be true for themselves and their students that need them in this time.
Yeah.
And then all the way to core members that are like, hey, 40% of my kids don't have access to internet. Okay, figure that out. Next week, I'm figuring out like who's taking care of their siblings during their day so their parents can work. What times can they be online? So for us, it's like centering on responding to what this moment is calling you to do and how this moment is asking you to show up. And there's not really a wrong answer because none of us have lived through a pandemic before. So I appreciate that you really honed in on the teachers because I can say with absolute certainty, everybody is out there trying to do their best with what they have.
If leadership is a behavior, and I know you and I, could have hour-long conversations on what that means, but somehow it's separate from this authority role that anyone can practice leadership
Yeah.
behaviors anywhere, anytime. What has leadership looked like to you right now? What has been important to you? Trying to practice
Mhm.
leadership, modeling, maybe showing up as a stakeholder rather than the authority. Where has that played out for you?
So for me, it's shown up in a couple of ways, making hard choices. I think we were talking earlier about my mom is not coming over right now, which feels like a really hard but right decision. And so making the best decision I know how with the information I have. And then the other piece is I was talking to my manager, who's just incredible, um, the other day, and I'm finding that I need to work on how to listen differently in this time of high stress, of grief, of lack of control. I'm usually a really strong listener, but I found myself in more conversations where I'm like, oh, I don't think we reached like alignment, or I leave and I'm like, did they get what I was trying to go for? Or did I say clearly what I was trying to go for and what were they aiming for? So that's one piece of leadership I'm working on, is just knowing that folks are coming in with a lot, and I'm coming in with some things too, is like I trying to work on listening differently.
It's huge. I hear you speaking to purpose, within that listening as well, that when purpose is aligned in so many organizations right now are redefining what purpose means, I think, right?
Yeah,
Purpose is not training all your core members, in one place. That's a strategy that gets after you all having the impact you want to have on the education system. And so the other piece to this is we're all going to have to change strategies, but
yep,
boy, are we going to have to get clear on purpose first. Because if I think good organizations, even in the midst of this crisis, if they're clear on purpose, will find ways to proceed. It may look like new and different roles, but
right.
there's still a lot of work to be done.
Oh yeah, and I think the work is just going to expand, and we work in spaces of deep inequity that are the result of lots of historical, tangible and intangible actions. And so this pandemic is going to hit the communities we serve differently and oftentimes more profoundly. For example, it should not go beyond any person that the first thing everyone had a panic over when we realized schools weren't going to be in session were that we could not feed our children. I hope that takes everyone's breath away, because that means what we have been putting on schools, in addition to having kids learn social and emotional behaviors, reading, math, planning for your future, playing soccer, all of those things are meeting their basic human need of eating
Mm.
daily. And so, like that, our schools are doing an incredible job. I mean, they like band together, figured out here's going to be pickup sites, here are the times. Right now, if you show up to any of the pickup sites in any of the partner districts that we work in, as many kids are in your car, get a breakfast and lunch. I think that the nightly news should just end with that every day. Look, they did it again. Hallelujah. Amen. I mean, it's genuinely in the midst of all this. I think that's just incredible. And so um, things are really going to change. And I think this could be a moment where we say, hey, is the purpose of our schools to feed our kids? And if it is, okay, I can get behind that. But does that mean we should fund them differently? Does that mean we should staff them differently? Does that mean every school also should get a garden? Like, I'm not sure what it means strategy wise, but clearly that's been a hidden purpose that society got to kind of tag on and let go of, that's really coming to the light.
That was so well said. Just the best explanation I've ever heard of the difference between purpose and all the strategies that go toward it. And this idea that there are hidden purposes, that we expect systems to provide things that are unsaid and maybe even just unconscious that that's even existing. But this feeding children piece is one of the biggest losses to not having education. It's not the schoolroom work, it's feeding kids. That ought to blow people's minds, that in many ways our school's first and foremost purpose was basic nourishment.
This would be a very different interview if I was hungry. Maybe like minute 6. Minute 6, well, this is a wrap. Like, bye. Thanks for your time. You know?
Question 1 that I'm trying to ask all our guests, and you're only guest 2, so I've completed this task so far. What has progress looked like right now to you in this time? Where have you seen it?
I have seen, and I cannot say enough about how incredible all the partners in terms of the schools and districts we get to work with have been. There's been a progress in collaboration. I think before it's like, hey, we're doing our own thing, you do your thing. Like, oh, do you want to collaborate on buses? Great. You don't, it's okay. But, you know, when you go to pick up lunch or breakfast, for example, no school stop asks for a school ID, what school you go to, anything. They have collaborated to make food happen to feed our communities. Folks are collaborating. What platform are you asking your teachers to use? Is there anything good for kindergartners that feels like a hard age? The depth of collaboration is so beautiful that feels like a real moment of progress here. I think another moment of progress is recentering on like our shared humanity. I've seen almost right away folks didn't talk necessarily about things like standardized tests. Folks talked about things like, I want to find a way to check in on how my students are feeling, how they're processing through grief. If they have additional responsibilities at home, then they want to talk to me about. If how can I get them some like Zoom time just with their friends in class that they miss? We've for so long been in this situation where it's like numbers driven and really hard quantifiable data that we've really devalued what we call some of those softer skills. And that is what everyone is missing deeply right now, including our kiddos and students. And so I think it's just been a moment of progress to say, oh, we all really are whole human beings, and let's find ways to honor that.
Humor seems to play this role for us, even in times of ultimate trouble. And so I want to know what's making you laugh right now.
I mean, certainly my kids are making me laugh because they're at that age where like 5, my oldest, her name is Supriya, and she just knows everything. Like, I'm like, hey, mommy's working on trying to figure out how to train 100 teachers before they get here and we can't see them. And she's like, oh, all you do is make it like a video game. So now that that's done, do you want to make a pie? And I'm like,
Yes.
what? I don't even know how to make a pie. And she's like, yeah, I do. What? I don't know. I don't think that you do, but okay. So she brings me joy. And then the twins are, like I said, they're 18 months old and they're talking more. and they have like things that they like and dislike. So that's bringing me a lot of joy. I think just overall kids. I wish for all of us to have the resilience of children. Uh, Children are so resilient. It's like built into their biology, and they're still like, there's no end to their dreams. Like no one, hopefully for most kiddos, even teenagers, they're like, yeah, we can fix this. We can change the world. Stop it. I'm 16. I'll fix climate change. And we're like, oh, yeah, you probably will. That's true. And so like kids are so resilient. And I have the privilege of seeing like into the classrooms, the virtual classrooms of a lot of our core members, and like the pictures that they're sending me from their Zoom chats, or the notes they have from their students, like Snap. I don't really know what they're doing, to be honest. I feel like I'm old, like messaging them instantly.
It's a miracle this is on Facebook Live right now, to be honest with you, Rhea. So I'm right there with you.
It's just kids are bringing me so much joy, my own and others.
Well, Rhea Muccello-Legrand, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a blast. We'll do this more, not on Facebook Live, but
Yes.
I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, thank you so much. And thanks for the partnership with KLC. You all continue to really be like a central leader during this time. So keep doing the good work, and we'll all keep leading the best we can.
And same to you. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
A big thanks to Rhea Muccello-Legrand for joining us tonight again from Teach for America to talk about the education system as we see it. Hey, quick public service announcement. Live, whatever this is, it's not TV, is fun, right? So I know our sound went out there for a while, right in the middle of my teaching, and really maybe that's best, right? Who knows? It might have been best just to read those slides, but I do want to go back there as we begin to wrap up the night. And remember, the end of this show is just the beginning of the conversation. We hope you'll join us over in our Zoom room. That link has been pinned into our comment section. I can see it right here as I see others starting to weigh in with some amazing, amazing comments tonight, and just so excited about the engagement we're seeing in this room. I want to throw up this slide one more time, though, and just speak to it. And I'm going to put a question or two up on it as well. And it's this reminder that as we try to find personal purpose, and then we try to connect that, right? We try to bring that out with the collective purpose, to connect it to others and how their work. That collective purpose must be big enough that many people can see themselves a part of it, but small enough that it feels actionable. And purpose, by the way, is not selling our grand idea. It's about finding the why behind the what we might try to do. And I know that could be hard for some of you to read on your screen, but the reminder is you want to find consensus. As you find yourself in high heat situations, quit debating strategies. Worry about strategies later. Start with collective purpose and spending more time than you think on that purpose. I want to get to a couple of the comments before we wrap up the night. Josh Breck joins us over in St. Louis. Josh, great to have you. Kids learning how to be human beings that care about others. Such a powerful idea. I've been worried about if we're doing enough for our elementary age kids with e-learning, etc., forgetting they are learning so much about life from just being together. Absolutely. Ian Brown chimes in, second time this week I've heard disappointing others at a rate they can tolerate, and I love it. It definitely resonates leadership to me. It's just a fact. People get upset sometimes when I say that to them, but the reminder is you've got to move people along in the purpose. And if you're going to do that, you're going to energize people who don't love your strategies, but they're going to hang out long enough to be a part of it because they care enough about the purpose. Jeff Mendel, speaking of purpose, being a confidant for others who are disoriented by the lockdown and fearful of their career and or financial future. What a great purpose in this time, and what a big thing to offer. Well, one more time, I want to bring us back live, and you can look at my ugly mug just as I close out the show tonight. A reminder, we're going to do a couple things. One, we're going to move this conversation onto Zoom. Two, I'm going to figure out the mic situation, and maybe next Tuesday we'll have a full show with full audio. Who knows? Three, I want to give a big thanks to Rhea Muccello-Legrand for joining us from Teach for America tonight. I want to say belated happy birthday to our KLC friend Ron Alexander. And I want to remind you all once again that there's a lot of progress and hope taking place in the world. And at this time, I think it's important to remember that there's still hope out there. There's still progress being made. And so check out that Zoom link that's been pinned in the comments section. We may even throw it up in the chat room one more time. And I hope to see you all in the Zoom room. But now I leave you with your moments of hope for this week.